This is big breaking news. Chaos has broken out across multiple cities, and the National Guard and police forces have been overwhelmed. This could just be a snapshot of what we will continue to see in the future if things continue to potentially get worse. So let's get into all the details here. You guys can see this was last night in Washington, D.C., in the Navy Yard. This is a video of the National Guard and police officers, federal police officers, being overwhelmed in D.C. All right, crowds were breaking their lines and they were entering areas where they're not supposed to and overwhelming them and rushing police officers and National Guard. Let's watch this video too. This was also happening in Portland as well too. Let's watch this. All right, so you could see massive police presence in the background, National Guard chasing people, right? You could see them like trying to catch people, chase people. Insane what's going on. This isn't Washington, D.C., in our capital city. We have National Guardsmen chasing people down. It's just wild. And I think people have realized that, the National Guard, if they're not armed, then they just have to arrest you and like chase you down like other police officers. Okay, so not saying that they should be shooting anyone, but people just would respect it a lot more if they were actually armed and holding the line here in DC. And this is the Navy Yard, and pretty wild just to see the scene of National Guardsmen chasing people down. There's hundreds of people just like breaching this area that they were trying to have blocked off and secure. And this is, I feel like, this happened last night on Halloween, right? Some of it was contributed to Halloween, but we've also seen all these threats on social media, people saying too they are going to have big protests for the blocking of benefits like food stamps. They're also going to potentially steal food from stores and other people, and maybe even riots and things like that. So I've seen a whole host of different things people are saying, and I don't endorse any of it, but I think that we are potentially seeing the beginning of stuff like this. It's going to become more common, right? Where people are just going to test the limits and test the boundaries and see what will happen. And it's going to lead to, more escalations. All right. So make sure you are prepared. Make sure you're ready. If they're doing this to National Guard in Washington, D.C., then just imagine what could happen to you and your family if you got caught in the middle of something like this. Okay, you're gonna get just like run over and potentially hurt, potentially worse. Okay, it's just like a stampede of people, mob of people rushing National Guardsmen, right? So if they don't have respect for even the military here, then they are not going to respect you and your family and your boundaries as well too, and they will definitely potentially steal and take things, and you could even get hurt too. All right, so just be on high alert and be very careful right now. This is some footage coming out of Illinois, actually. I think I said Portland earlier. Sorry about that. I meant to say Chicago, Illinois area. All right, you can see lots of police and militarized outfits, right? And see this is a snowball effect. The more people are going to freak out and do this stuff, the more they're going to just have militarized police on the streets like this. And I know a lot of people don't want this, but it needs to stop, right? The chaos in our cities needs to stop. Our cities should be safe and secure. Here's another video coming out of the Navy Yard in DC, just some on the ground footage as well too. You can see here just hordes of people swarming areas. A lot of them just wearing all black too, have masks on. Right, you can see this guy turned around after this car here. This guy has a mask on, right? So people don't want their faces shown, destroying stuff. And I know sometimes this can be attributed to, oh, it's Halloween and they're kids, but these aren't just kids, right? You're 16 years old or whatever. You shouldn't be destroying buildings and riding like this and running around in, black masks and stuff like that. It's definitely, criminal behavior. You should know this is next level. And it's concerning, People are trying to trick or treat. People are trying to be out in Washington, D.C. with their families, and then you have to deal with a giant swarm of people in all black just attacking things, right? And literally challenging National Guard and police as well, too. So there's also food lines at food pantries are piling up, right? Lines are getting a lot longer, and that means that resources are stretched thinner when there's more people trying to go to the food bank and go to the food pantries, all right? Let's get into that in just a second, but I wanted to show this footage out of Illinois from Brendan Gutenschwager, right? He's down there on the ground, and he posted this footage.
This is Major Keltner of the Illinois State Police. This is an unlawful assembly in violation of Illinois State Statute 720 ILCS 525-1. You're required to leave the roadway. Leave via Lexington. If you do not leave the area, you are subject to arrest. You may be subject to chemical agents, pain compliance techniques, or reasonable force to effect an arrest. This is Major Keltner of the Illinois State Police. This is an unlawful assembly in violation of Illinois State Statute 720 ILCS 525-1. You're required to leave the roadway immediately. Leave via Lexington. If you do not leave the area, you are subject to arrest.
And something that I thought was significant about this video is that this is the Illinois State Police. So the Illinois police officers, especially in Chicago, and even state police have been a little bit more reluctant to clear out these, quote, protesters or people harassing ICE facilities. They have been not very helpful, right? So this is kind of a big change to see the Illinois State Police doing this as well too, and this is a major presence that they're sending here. It's not like they're just sending a few guys. They're sending, dozens, maybe even 100 people here that are coming in to sweep the area, right? So big change in just what we've been seeing too, right? There's been a lot of hesitancy from the Illinois governor, Pritzker, and this is a good thing to see the state police actually helping ICE to clear these things out, because they are the ones that have kind of emboldened this aggression towards the ICE officers. I've seen videos where they're just like screaming in the officer's face, all crazy, calling them names, throwing stuff at them, or like right near them, and saying wild things. And it's kind of shocking they don't even get arrested. A lot of times they're like screaming right, they're inches like from the federal officer's face. A lot of times I've seen them. I saw a video today of somebody was already arrested inside the vehicle, and a different person came and opened up the door and was trying to free them, right? When the federal officer was trying to make an arrest and they had to run over and stop this lady from opening the door. She already opened it and the person was already out of the car, but they had to stop the person from getting away that they were arresting. It's crazy. People are doing like crazy things that I could never imagine. It's like, how are they getting away with this? And they are, because the federal forces are kind of overwhelmed, okay? And because they're stretched a little thinner. They're in all 50 states, they're doing main operations in certain cities like Chicago and Memphis right now, and they're working on deploying to Portland as well too. But they need the help and resources of the state police and state officers as well too. So this is kind of a big change to see this from Illinois, and hopefully they are now being more cooperative with cleaning things up, with getting Chicago safe, all right, and secure. People don't feel safe to go there. People don't want to travel to a lot of these big cities. It would increase their tourism a ton if they just made it known that the city is safe and you will be protected when you go there, okay? Because they have all these laws where they make it so you can't protect yourself, but then they're also not providing any protection for you. So you're kind of just like a sitting duck. That's what it feels like, at least in some of these cities and certain areas, all right? So this is good to see that, the change is happening, right? And hopefully this is just a crackdown, and then we can get back to normal, get back to equilibrium, because we're seeing all these militarized police, because things have just been allowed to get out of control for the past 4 years, essentially, and now the pendulum's kind of swinging back the opposite way to like course correct. So we're seeing a major course correction here, right? So hopefully we can get back to equilibrium soon, but it's probably going to be a while. I think 2026 is going to be even more operations and bigger operations and bigger facilities being built, all these things. I think we're going to see a massive 2026 on the federal law enforcement side, all right, and things like this. And I think the protesting and organizing, stuff like that, is going to be massive as well too in 2026, because it's an election year as well, midterms, and next summer I think is going to be huge. They're going to pull out all the stops and all the funding to really get people worked up, right? So here's some updates just of what's going on with Snap 2. And if you can, donate to these things, all right? A lot of people actually do need help. So this will kind of thin the herd a little bit for people that actually need help and people that don't need help, right? So people that really need help are really going to show up to these food banks and need help. So donate if you can. You can see here, this is coming out of Louisville, Kentucky. It says people across the country formed long lines for free meals and groceries at food pantries and drive-through giveaways Saturday after monthly benefits through the federal SNAP program were suddenly cut off because of the ongoing government shutdown. In the New York borough of the Bronx, about 200 more people than usual showed up at the World of Life Christian Fellowship International Pantry, many bundled in winter hats and coats and pushing collapsible shopping carts as they waited in line that spanned multiple city blocks. Some arrived as early as 4 a.m. to choose from pallets of fruits, vegetables, bread, milk, juice, dry goods, and prepared sandwiches. Martin Marvey, who volunteers at the pantry, also relies on it regularly for food to supplement her SNAP payments. She said she usually splits her roughly $200 a month in SNAP benefits between herself and 2 adult sons, one of whom has 6 children and is especially dependent on the assistance. Okay, so something like that. I mean, that doesn't really add up to me, honestly. 2 adult sons. I don't even know, like, her adult sons can get their own SNAP. They should be able to get their own benefits from that. So they should really just let their moms have that. let their mom have that, honestly. And 6 kids, I mean, you should be able to get it yourself, most likely, if you're really struggling with 6 kids. That's a lot of kids. But if you are struggling, something happens, and hopefully it's temporary, then you should have been able to get on yourself. That's my point, and you probably would have got a lot more than $200 with 6 kids. That's my point here. Both her sons are adults. I don't know. It doesn't really add up to me, honestly. They should really just let their mom have that SNAP benefit every month. She really needs it. So people are, some people are struggling for sure, right? But there's also, I've seen countless incidences where it seems people admitting they're like selling their benefits and things like that. They're trading them, okay? Or maybe they don't even really need them. Some people, they just like to have the free money, right? So I'm not saying that's everyone, but I've seen stories of people gloating about even certain things, okay? And this could continue for we don't know how long, right? So I will keep you guys updated. If you have some extra food, some canned food, things like that, go donate it to the pantry. If you have the means, donate, right? Because that's what people used to do, and I think we can still do that. I think we can figure it out. So thank you guys. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying prepared. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.